If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. It's one of those stories that football fans can't help but talk about even months later. Diontae Johnson, once a promising star for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is now gearing up for another fresh start, this time with the Cleveland Browns. But before we dive into what the future might hold for Johnson in 2025, we have to revisit the moment that continues to follow him, his highly controversial stint with the Baltimore Ravens. It wasn't just a brief pit stop in a whirlwind season, it was a flashpoint in his career that left fans, coaches, and analysts scratching their heads. The incident in question: Johnson outright refused to take the field during a Week 13 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles, the eventual Super Bowl champs. That one decision, made on a chilly December evening at M&T Bank Stadium, led to a suspension and ultimately his departure from the team. It's a moment that now defines much of his 2024 season and continues to shape the narrative around him. Let's rewind to that cold afternoon in Baltimore, December 1st. Kickoff temperature hovering around 41 degrees, the Ravens were facing the Eagles in what would prove to be one of the most crucial games of the season. Midway through the game, wide receiver Rashod Bateman exited with an injury, leaving a void in the offensive lineup. Naturally, all eyes turned to Diontae Johnson, the experienced route runner acquired mid-season to provide depth and explosive playmaking. But as coaches called his name, Johnson stayed put. He didn't fake an injury, didn't consult trainers, he simply said no. According to him, the weather, the mental strain of a chaotic season, and the fear of putting bad tape out there combined into a perfect storm of reluctance. That decision, witnessed live by thousands and broadcasted nationwide, created an immediate wave of backlash. Fans booed, teammates were confused, and the coaching staff had no choice but to act. Fast forward to the aftermath, and the Ravens responded swiftly. Johnson was suspended for one game due to conduct detrimental to the team, a phrase that, in NFL circles, often signals a serious breach of locker room trust. Shortly after serving that suspension, the team waived him, and just like that, his tenure in Baltimore came to an unceremonious end, leaving behind more questions than answers. Was he misunderstood? Was it a mental health issue, or simply a case of a player who lost the fire, no matter how you cut it? This wasn't just about one play or one game, it was about accountability, professionalism, and how athletes navigate the pressures of a grueling NFL season. For Johnson, who had already bounced from Carolina to Baltimore earlier that year, this wasn't just a footnote. It was a defining chapter that many believed might derail his entire career. Months later, Johnson finally opened up about what happened during an episode of the Sports and Suits podcast, hosted in partnership with the Ravens' own media team, a move that in itself raised eyebrows. Speaking with a calm demeanor and surprising transparency, he described the scene in detail: shuffling between the heater and the sideline, legs stiff from the cold, head foggy from a draining year. He claimed that when the coaches finally called his name, it didn't feel right, not physically, not mentally. It was cold. He repeated, "I was thinking about my legs. I didn't want to put bad stuff on film." It's not a justification fans were quick to accept, especially in a league where players suit up through snow, rain, and injury. Still, Johnson's vulnerability gave a rare glimpse into the psyche of a player on the edge, balancing physical demands with emotional fatigue in real time. He didn't stop there. Johnson went on to explain that the 2024 season had worn him down mentally. Being traded mid-season is tough on any player, and Johnson had already gone through two teams before landing in Baltimore. His rhythm was off, his trust in organizations was likely shaken, and by his own admission, he had mentally checked out. That phrase, checked out, might be the most haunting part of the interview. It's not something you expect to hear from a professional athlete, especially in the heat of a pivotal game. But it's also a stark reminder of how human these players really are. They're not robots. They're not immune to stress, depression, or burnout. Johnson's honesty sparked a new wave of debates. Should players be more open about mental health, even when it conflicts with team needs? Or was this simply a player failing to live up to his contract? During his brief stint with the Ravens, Johnson appeared in just 4 games. His stats: barely a blip, 1 reception, 5 targets, 6 yards, no touchdowns. For a receiver who once had 1,161 yards in a single season with the Steelers, these numbers were a shadow of his former self. After being waived by the Ravens, he was picked up by the Houston Texans, Another quick stop that yielded just 2 receptions for 12 yards in one game. And now, as the 2025 season approaches, he's donning yet another AFC North jersey. This time with the Cleveland Browns. It's a fresh start, yes, but also a glaring spotlight. Johnson won't just be fighting for receptions, he'll be fighting for redemption, for respect, and for a chance to prove that the incident in Baltimore was an aberration, not a pattern. The Browns have made a bold move by bringing Johnson into the fold, with the receiving corps looking to complement star quarterback Deshaun Watson. The hope is that Johnson can regain his form and provide veteran leadership, but that's a gamble. Especially with the shadow of last season hanging over him, fans in Cleveland are already divided. Some see this as a low-risk, high-reward signing after all. If Johnson can return to his Pittsburgh-level productivity, he'll be a major asset. Others worry that the Ravens incident shows a deeper issue, one that could re-emerge when the pressure mounts, and in the AFC North, pressure is a constant. Every divisional game feels like a playoff battle. There's no room for doubt, hesitation, or mental lapses. Johnson will have to prove, not just to the Browns, but to the entire NFL, that he's still got the grit, the heart, and the fire to compete at the highest level. What makes this whole saga so compelling is that it touches on multiple layers of the modern NFL, player movement, mental health, team culture, and public perception. Diontae Johnson's story isn't just about one controversial decision. It's about how quickly a player's reputation can change, how one moment can outweigh years of consistent production. It's also about how narratives are formed, both by the media and by the fans. One cold night in December turned Johnson from a former Pro Bowl receiver into a cautionary tale. But it doesn't have to end that way. The NFL is a league of second chances, sometimes even third or fourth. If Johnson can channel the criticism, silence the doubts, and focus on football, there's a real opportunity for redemption. And let's be honest, everyone loves a comeback story, especially in Cleveland. As we inch closer to the 2025 kickoff, all eyes will be on Johnson. His first snaps with the Browns will be dissected by commentators, tweeted by fans, and analyzed by coaches. Every route he runs, every ball he drops or catches will carry extra weight. And perhaps that's a good thing. Perhaps the accountability will force him to stay locked in, to prove that what happened in Baltimore was a product of circumstance, not character. He says he was protecting himself. Critics say he let his team down. The truth might lie somewhere in the middle, but only his actions moving forward will tell the full story. One thing is clear, Johnson knows he's on thin ice. The Browns have given him a lifeline. Now, it's up to him to hold on tight, run with it, and leave the past exactly where it belongs, in the cold shadows of December. And here's the twist that might surprise people. This whole saga, as damaging as it seems, could end up being the best thing that ever happened to Diontae Johnson. Sometimes, it takes hitting a low point to reignite your drive. The NFL is brutal, yes, but it also offers constant opportunity. Johnson has a fresh locker room, a new quarterback, and a clean slate. The pressure, oh, it's massive, but pressure makes diamonds or it breaks you. The question now isn't just whether Johnson can catch footballs. It's whether he can catch himself before he spirals out of relevance. The Ravens incident will follow him, sure, but if he puts up numbers, helps the Browns win, and keeps his head straight, fans won't just forgive, they'll forget. That's how fast things move in this league. It's up to Johnson to decide what kind of legacy he wants to leave. The next chapter is unwritten, and kickoff is just around the corner. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. You won't believe what's going down behind the scenes in Cleveland. Just when we thought the Browns were finally settling into some kind of rhythm, heading into the new season, boom, a locker room bombshell has exploded. Whispers are getting louder, and the talk is all about none other than AMARI Cooper, yes, the veteran wide receiver, the quiet leader of that offense, allegedly spearheading a movement to get Shedeur Sanders out of Cleveland. That's right, out, not benched, not talked to, straight up exiled. And folks, when a name like AMARI Cooper is behind something this bold, you know there's real smoke behind the fire now. Let's be clear, Shedeur Sanders hasn't even played a regular season snap for the Browns yet. Drafted with all the hype in the world, son of Coach Prime himself, Shedeur walked into that locker room with swagger, cameras, and expectations taller than Myles Garrett on stilts, but apparently, that same swagger is rubbing some of the vets the wrong way. Sources inside the Browns organization, speaking anonymously, say that Shedeur's attitude has already begun to alienate key players. He reportedly skipped a voluntary workout session to film a commercial. And while that may seem minor, to guys like Cooper, who've bled for this team, it's a huge red flag. Amari isn't just some disgruntled vet yelling at clouds. This is a former Pro Bowler. A guy who's known for being professional, quiet, and focused. So when he reportedly starts an informal petition, yes, an actual document circulating in the locker room calling for the front office to reevaluate the presence of Shedeur Sanders on the active roster, you better believe people are going to notice. It's not just about ego, it's about culture. Cooper is said to be warning the front office, "We're trying to build a winning locker room, not a reality show." That quote, mind you, came from someone inside the locker room, unnamed, of course, but still chilling. Now, let's talk about Shedeur's side. From what we've seen on social media, he doesn't seem fazed. In fact, he's still posting motivational videos, workout reels, and hanging out with celebrities. All the signs point to a young star who's supremely confident in himself. But is that confidence being misread as arrogance by his teammates? One former NFL scout commented, "Shedeur acts like he's already the face of the franchise, and maybe he is, but the league eats that kind of attitude alive if it's not backed by wins. And right now, there's nothing on the field to justify the hype. Not yet. Let's not forget, the Browns have had more than their fair share of quarterback drama. From Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson, this franchise has ridden the roller coaster more than once. The last thing they need is a divided locker room before the season even kicks off." Some insiders are saying the petition, while unofficial, has already reached upper management. There's talk that Andrew Berry, the Browns' GM, has had multiple closed-door conversations with both Cooper and Sanders. And while no disciplinary action is expected right away, you can bet every eye is now watching Shedeur's next move. What's wild is how fast this situation escalated. Just weeks ago, Shedeur was being hailed as the next face of the NFL. The media loved the story, son of Dion, following in the family legacy, bringing style and swagger to the AFC North. But what we're hearing now suggests a very different vibe in that locker room. Cooper isn't alone either. There are rumblings that at least 5 other starters have quietly voiced their concern about Shedeur's attitude. Some veterans reportedly asked to be left out of the media shoot involving Sanders last week. That's not normal. That's a silent protest. It's not just about a young guy being flashy. Every team has rookies with big personalities. What makes this situation so volatile is that it's splitting the locker room. Some of the younger players, guys who grew up watching Shedeur's social media rise, are said to be backing him up. There's even a rumor that a few defensive backs confronted Cooper directly, telling him to let the kid play. If that's true, we might be looking at a full-on locker room civil war. Offense versus defense, vets versus youth, old school versus new school. This could spiral quickly if the coaching staff doesn't get control. And speaking of coaching, where is Kevin Stefanski in all this? Reports say he's been walking a tightrope, trying to balance respect for Cooper's leadership while also supporting the young QB prospect, handpicked by ownership. Sources say Stefanski recently held a team meeting addressing unity and focus, but the message didn't land. One player reportedly walked out mid-meeting, another warning sign that this is more than just noise. Stefanski is now in a brutally tough spot. Back Cooper and risk losing the new face of the franchise, or support Shedeur and alienate the veterans. Either move comes with consequences. So, what happens next? That's the million-dollar question. The Browns are expected to begin mandatory mini-camp next week, and all eyes will be on the first snap, the first huddle, the first interaction between Cooper and Sanders. Will they dip it up like nothing's wrong, or will we see cold shoulders and passive-aggressive tension on full display? The Browns media team has gone radio silent. No comments, no clarifications, not even a cryptic tweet. And that, my friends, is the biggest clue that this story is real. When they say nothing, it means everything. This isn't just some training camp drama. This is a potential fracture in the very foundation of a team trying to claw its way to relevance. If the Browns can't get their house in order, the season could unravel before it even starts. But hey, maybe this is just growing pains. Maybe Shedeur proves everyone wrong and wins the locker room with his play. Maybe Cooper's frustration fades with a few W's. Or maybe, just maybe, this ends with one of them being shipped out before Week 1. Stay tuned, because in Cleveland, nothing is ever simple. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound. Conversation, go Browns!